What's good, fight fans? You already know it's your boy Bando back at it with another episode of Combat and Kick It. We are coming through to review UFC 304 that just happened this past weekend, the Manchester card, and there's a lot to discuss about it. So I'm just gonna cut to the chase. Let's get right into it. Let's go. Alright, so obviously UFC 304 it actually was last night. It's Sunday, I'm recording on Sunday, so it was last night. Card did not live up to the hype. Let's put it that way. Card definitely did not live up to the hype, especially in my opinion. I felt like it was a very lackluster card. There was a lot of matchups that were supposed to be explosive matchups, big matchups that mattered a lot, and they did not come through with some action, with I don't know, just something to bring some heat to this card. The card was overall pretty boring. There was some good performances, no doubt. Jake Hadley had a good performance. Him and Lockraine, however you say his name, they had a pretty good back and forth matchup. Nathaniel Wood came out, did his thing against Daniel Pineda. You know, there was a couple good performances, like I said, but nothing insanely crazy, nothing special. No one did anything that was so standoutish. I would say the best thing that happened, the finish that happened, was probably going to be Paddy. Paddy probably had the best finish of the night. Realistically, it was a guaranteed finish. He put Bobby Greene to sleep, and he did it pretty damn quick. But either way, let's just review this whole card. Let's get into that whole reviewing part now. Yeah, so we get into the whole reviewing part of this, right? And we're going to review the main card because I broke down the main card, so we're going to review the main card. So, opening the main card, you had Arnold Allen and Giga Chikadze. Good fight. One of the more action-packed fights. It wasn't like a crazy fight of the night, crazy back and forth thing, but it was one of the most action-packed fights on the main card. Not really back and forth. Giga had a good first round. Giga was definitely leading the dance the first round, and I'm not saying that because he wasn't doing anything special. He was just landing a little bit more. And then Arnold Allen started doing what he does best and started putting the pressure to him, trying to mix it up a little bit. I thought he should have mixed up the wrestling a little bit more against a guy like Giga. But when you got a guy like Giga who's good at judging the distance, judging the range, and knowing exactly what to do when it comes to the striking aspect there, it's really difficult to shoot and end up setting up getting a takedown for that. So, but I thought Arnold Allen did good. He did good on the stand-up too. I think a lot of people thought Giga was going to go in there and completely annihilate him in the stand-up aspect, and Arnold Allen did his thing. So Arnold Allen came out with the decision win. Rightfully so, but like I said, probably one of the more action-packed fights. There was a lot of good kicks thrown by Giga that he was landing. Arnold Allen was landing good shots, and that he's a very unorthodox fighter. You know, when you have a guy like Giga who is so straight to the T, the way he strikes and everything like that, and then you get a guy like Arnold Allen who brings such an unorthodox style to the game, it definitely makes you switch up the game plan. It definitely makes you think more. So, you know, Giga did what he can do. But I think the layoff for Giga and the fact that, you know, he hasn't been able to see a lot of 3 to 5 rounds, that makes a difference. That makes a huge difference in a guy's career, especially when you've been sitting out for a while and you go up against a guy who just went 5 rounds with Max Holloway. So it's one of those things where you know Arnold Allen can do it, but we know Giga can do it. He just hasn't been able to put enough work in the UFC yet due to injuries and stuff like that. Obviously not his fault. Things out of his hands, but that's what happens in this game. That's what happens in this game, because one day you could be leading the dance looking like the next big thing, and then all of a sudden take one injury and then you just can't get it to fully click on your way back. That's That's one of the toughest things, being able to get it to click on your way back, coming back in, being able to adapt to every aspect of the game. But either way, good win by Arnold Allen. What's next for him? That's a good question. Maybe I'll do a matchmaking episode. You know, that's probably what I'll do right after this, is make a matchmaking episode. We'll talk about what's next for each fighter. But good win by Arnold Allen, like I said. Moving on, you had Christian Leroy Duncan going up against my boy Gregory Rodriguez, and that was a banger for the moments that it was. It was a bit of a banger. I thought Gregory Rodriguez did really good in terms of mixing the whole game up, doing good groundwork, winning the stand-up. The man hits with bad intentions, right? I think Christian Leroy Duncan is somebody who is going to end up having some success in the middleweight division as he goes on, right? He's still kind of early as he goes on. I could see him getting a lot more. He's got good clinch work. He's got good hands. He's got good elbows. He's got good knees and kicks and stuff like that. But you got a guy like Gregory Rodriguez who's hitting you with power shots and keeps pushing forward even after you land your shit. That's tough to push forward against, you know? It's very tough to push forward against. I think Gregory Rodriguez, I don't see him being the type of guy who's going to be a champion or anything like that, but he's going to be one of those guys who's known in the middleweight division for putting on an exciting fight. Because I think he's going to go out there and do that pretty consistently. And you got guys like him that should be finishing fights, no doubt, and he does finish fights, but you know, I think Christian Leroy Duncan is just a little bit better than most, so it is a difficult person to finish. But Gregory Rodriguez got the decision last night. Clear decision, fair decision, a good win by him. He controlled pretty much 90% of the fight, 95% of the fight. Like I said, CLD landed a couple good shots, but nothing that could really change the outcome of this fight. You know, this is a fight that was supposed to be on the prelims originally, and it got switched for MOMAEV and KAPE. That, you know what, let me take a quick intermission here and talk about this shit. I don't even know if it's an intermission, but a break from the main card and go all the way back to the prelims to just say that fight was fucking shit. I'm trying to cuss less on this podcast. I really am. I'm trying to cuss less on this podcast, but I'm going to say it again. That fight was fucking So you hype up a fight with all this BS, the backstage BS. You have problems on the internet, and then you have the backstage BS of the UFC PI, and then you have this stuff when you get to Manchester. Just a bunch of BS, but it excites people. This is what excites people. This is what brings people's attention to the game. Like, oh man, they got two dudes who legitimately hate each other. Let's see it go down. And 95% of the time this happens, it ends up being a boring ass fight. Snaps me back to Rampage and Rashad. Great rivalry. Terrible fight. Muhammad Mokaev does seem like he plays a little bit on the dirty side. Eye pokes, pulling the shorts, and not only that, let's snap back to the altercation in Manchester. He goes up to KAPE, MANEL KAPE, and puts an arm around his shoulder and says, let's take a picture for all the people, and then sucker punches him. That is some punk stuff. I mean, I don't know 100% the entire full story, but that is what I'm hearing from a lot of people's breakdowns and stuff of it. And if that's the case, that man is I don't even know what to call him. But a cheater for sure. A cheater for sure. And Dana White even says he's going to be a beautiful, undefeated fighter in PFL. So, Muhammad Mokaev, you had that chance to save the flyweight division with MANEL KAPE this Saturday, and you blew it. You both blew it. You hyped this fight up. You were going to save the flyweight division again, bring back some heat to it, and you blew it. Moving on. This joint keeps going out. So moving on to Paddy, Pimblett, Bobby, Greene. This one is quick. There's not much to break down. Paddy was landing beautiful jabs on him, landing good kicks on him. Bobby, you know how Bobby is. Hands down, taunting, moving his way around, getting a good feel for everything, getting a vibe. You know how Bobby is. Bobby's just that guy who likes to He likes to fight. He likes to fight, but this was his 50th fight. This man has fought many, many fights. And I on the bet slip, I put Bobby Greene. I was 4 out of 5 last night on my parlay. It almost hit. I put Bobby Greene. Bobby Greene ruined the parlay. Or King Greene. But I don't want to call him King Greene because he didn't help me win the parlay. But either way, Paddy Pimblett, very impressive. Simple as that. Very impressive. He was landing good strikes on the feet that, to me, forced a guy like Bobby Greene, who is not a wrestler, to shoot. When he shot, Paddy got him in the guillotine. Went from guillotine, switched it to triangle. Went from triangle to kind of doing a triangle and an arm bar, and proceeds to put Bobby Greene to sleep while almost breaking his arm. If anybody was wondering if Paddy Pimblett is the real deal, I'd say yes. First, I don't know if it's just me, but when I see Paddy in there, he looks bigger than a typical lightweight, which I think is going to benefit him a lot in the division. Now it's time to start throwing him some bigger fights. Jalen Turner maybe, Dan Hooker maybe. You know, see what you could have at the lightweight division and mess around. Like I said, I'm going to do a matchmaker episode right after this either way. But you can start throwing him some big contenders now, and let's see what Paddy Pimblett can do. Let's see where Paddy Pimblett can end up, because if Paddy can somehow get himself to the title, you're talking about one of the biggest stars in MMA, and as a champion, that's exactly who you would want as a champion. A guy who can market himself, he can market the people, he's good with people, he's funny, he's out, you know, he's just out there doing his thing. Right, I know a lot of people think he's corny. A lot of people don't like him, and I understand why. I see the same thing that people see. But business, you look at business, he's not a bad person to have at the top of your business. Now we move to the co-main event. Tommy Aspinall and Still. Good work by Tom Aspinall. The hands are nasty, man. The hands of this man are very nasty. He's quick. He's fast. Excuse me. He's quick. He's fast. You know, he's much different than any other heavyweight in the division. He moves different than these other guys. I think the only person who will have a fun striking matchup with him would be Cyril Gane on the feet, for as long as that fight would stay on the feet. Because trust me, Tom would end up taking him down. But as long as that fight was on the feet, it would be an interesting striking matchup. But Tom Aspinall, very good. Very good. You know, I feel for Curtis Blaydes. If you've seen a lot of my past podcasts, I've talked about Curtis getting to the show and missing it. I know I'm not calling him a choke artist. It's just every time he gets close, you know, it's just close. That's all he gets, is just close. He got clipped with a 1-2. Definitely hurt him. The biggest issue is a lot of people are saying it was an early stoppage. When you're in a heavyweight division, right, when it's two heavyweights, calling it an early stoppage is boof. It really is. Most of the time, it's pretty boof. He was landing, Tom Aspinall was landing shots unanswered, undefended, no defense, no hands put up. Curtis was just getting clipped. Yet, out or not, you're still landing, getting hit in the face. Tom Aspinall's landing at will. Like, that's another heavyweight human being, another 240-pound human being on top of you, just landing shots while your back is turned and you're flattened out on your stomach. And people are gonna say that's a early stoppage. I have to disagree. At first, I looked at it like, that did seem kind of early. But if you really sit back and watch it again, how many more shots of those by Tom was Curtis going to take? And Curtis wasn't moving. He wasn't trying to get out. He was just getting hit with the shots. It's the referee's best decision to do, to get in between two heavyweights and stop it before it gets too late. You know, there's been many times where we've seen it where, you know, it's been too late. You know, luckily we haven't seen anything unfortunate happen. Nothing crazy deep, nothing bad, right? Thank God. But at the same time, You've seen some dangerous shots, right? You saw Derek Lewis knock out Curtis Blades Spark Cold, and in that same process land a overhand while he's falling to the ground, on the ground, just nasty. You see Ngannou knock out Stipe and land one more shot after. These guys got to be quick, and there was only going to be a few more shots that Curtis was going to take before Tom put him out. But Tom Aspinall is still the interim heavyweight champion. To me, the heavyweight champion. We'll see what happens in November. Tom Aspinall looks like he's going to end up being the backup for November. But we already know there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The winner of Jon Jones and Stipe, if they do not retire, your next matchup is Tom Aspinall. Now, the main event. Let me drink my water for this one real quick. I gotta sip the H2O for this one. Alright, so check this. I missed the fight. Went back, watched highlights and stuff like that, but I missed the fight because I fell asleep. I fell asleep right in the first round. And you know when I woke up? With Belal Muhammad standing there with a gold UFC belt wrapped around his waist. And was I sick? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And then I go back and watch the fight and see that Leon Edwards didn't do nothing in the fight. Belal controlled every aspect of the fight, which that I didn't expect. Ground game, getting Leon to the ground, I understand him controlling that. Makes sense. Beating him in a stand-up, Leon, what? I don't get it, dog. I don't get it. You should be one of the best strikers in the division. You should be untouchable on the feet. You have no sense of freaking like urgency in any situation. You're out here getting picked up and slammed on top of your head, almost like you didn't expect the man to come in and wrestle, like you haven't just fought two wrestlers in the past. The past three fights, he just fought wrestlers the same exact style as Belal. But not to take away or discredit Belal Muhammad. Look, I knew it was going to be a decision. I knew he wasn't going to get a finish, right? He got a decision. He got the win. He is the new welterweight champion. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it because he did his thing, right? He did win 100%. He controlled the entire fight. It was an impressive win, right? I got to give him credit. He did his thing. He came in prepared. And whether Leon's statement of him just being tired straight off rip right from the first round is true or not, either way, you got to come with different energy when you're the champion. Your coach every fight should not have to be talking to you in the fifth round like it's do or die. And it was do or die. You needed to finish in the fifth round. You couldn't get it done. And new Belal Muhammad as the new welterweight champion. And he's saying that Leon is not going to get a rematch. So that might be the ship sailed for Leon Edwards being champion, because you already know they're going to push somebody like Shavkat straight to the title and skip any other fight that they were going to make with him. They're going to push him straight to the title because I promise you the UFC doesn't want Belal Muhammad as champion. Look closely at Dana White's face when he puts the belt around Belal's waist. He was sick. He was sick. Sick. Because, look, Leon's not even that marketable of a champ unless you go to the UK. Now you're talking Belal? How you going to headline with Belal? There's going to be a lot of welterweight co-main event championship matchups. Trust me. But either way, that's it for this episode. I'm going to move on and go make a matchmaking episode. I appreciate you guys for watching the review on UFC 304. You know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell notification button so you know when the next episode is out. And I will catch you on the next episode. Peace.